Hey, before we get started, I can't speak for every alum, but I was telling Mike this earlier. I don't think I've ever been more proud to be a lumberjack. Not just what it's done for me and my experience here, but what's been going on in the last few years under your leadership and your guidance and your staff, amazing staff. Obviously this facility and what's going on campus, but it's really an honor to call myself a lumberjack, and I've never been more proud of it. So thank you for what you do there. You guys ready to kick off the program tonight for what you can? We're going to transition, and this is why we're here. We're here to honor some amazing people, amazing accomplishments and teams, and as we kick off tonight, I get the privilege of introducing them, of explaining what they did, then you get a chance to hear from them, and it's going to be a really special night. So I'm going to get right to it, if you don't mind. And as we get started tonight, there's a little bit of theme as I was going through the inductees this year. Over the last decade plus, in a couple decades, what's been going on in cross country and track has been right. So you guys might hear that a little bit tonight. But our first inductee tonight is a man by the name of Eric Hines. Eric Hines' distinguished coaching career at NAU began in 2007 when he was hired as the head cross-country coach, and he immediately led the Lumberjacks to a historic performance at the NCAA cross-country championships that fall, guiding the men to a 4th place finish and the women to a 7th place finish. It marked the first time both programs placed in the top 8 nationally in the NAU's storied history. Hines' success was just getting started. He was later promoted to Director of Track and Field and Cross Country in 2010, and ultimately led the Lumberjack Cross Country and Track and Field programs to a combined 28 Big Sky Conference championships during his tenure. His career was capped by leading NAU men to the school's first ever national championship in 2016, starting the program's current run of 5 national titles in the last 6 years. As a result, Hines was named the 2016 NCAA Division I Men's Cross Country Coach of the Year, and in all, he earned 27 Big Sky Coach of the Year awards. His cross country squad notched 9 top 10 national team finishes, and he coached 64 individual conference champions and 25 athletes to a combined 55 All-American honors across all disciplines as the program's director. It's hard to even get my mind around some of those numbers. Unbelievable. 4 of his distance runners would compete at the Summer Olympics, including David McNeil, who swept the individual indoor and outdoor 5K national titles in 2010. Hines also served as an assistant coach from 2001 to 2003 under fellow NAU Hall of Famer Ron Mann during his first stint in Flagstaff. So please join me in welcoming Eric Hines to the NAU Athletic Hall.
Well, I was told I had 5 minutes, so I will try to keep this brief to save some time for Diego. Well, obviously, thank you to the Hall of Fame committee, Mike Marlowe for what you've done for the university and the athletic department, President Cruz Riviera for the support of the athletic department, It means a lot to me from the outside looking in, what we've been able to accomplish here, and to be able to celebrate in this amazing facility. I have to give a special thank you and a note of appreciation to Ron Mann. Yep, 2001, this guy hired me as a graduate assistant. Worked for Robert Chapman as a volunteer coach at Indiana, one of the smartest men I know in the sport of cross-country track and field. Had never been west of the Mississippi until I came out to Flagstaff. Fell in love with this place. And Ron Mann kind of took me under his wing. I know, looking at him right now, that in 2001, I spent 2 years with him as an immature, crazy graduate assistant coach. There's no way that he would have expected to see me up here 20 years later. But here I am. And believe it or not, Coach, I did learn some things from him. One of the biggest things that I've learned from him: surround yourself with good people. Hire good assistant coaches when you have a chance. Recruit good student athletes, and you're going to be successful. And I have done my best to live by those words from Coach Mann. And that is what this is about. This is not a recognition of myself, but a recognition of those student athletes and those assistant coaches that poured their heart and soul and their dedication into NAU Lumberjack track and field. So I, as the head coach, as the director, am very appreciative of this award. But again, the recognition goes to those athletes and those assistant coaches and those support staff that poured their heart and soul into this. Yeah, I have to tell a quick story about when I got hired as the cross-country coach in 2007. My wife and I had just moved to Fort Worth, Texas. I was coaching at TCU. She had just gotten a classroom job, middle school science, got her classroom set up. And I said, hey, Flagstaff, NAU, they're hiring a distance coach. She looked at me like, well, I've never been out there. So I said, come on, start applying to jobs. She had 4 interviews, I had 1 interview. We drove up from Phoenix, as many of you have. You land in Phoenix, and it's 90, it's 100 degrees, it's August. You drive up the mountain 2 hours. You open the door and you look up and you see all the stars. And you smell the pine trees and you feel the cool mountain air. And she looked at me and she said, you've got to get this job. So I went through that interview. I knew the throws coach, I knew Coach Hardy, I knew Coach Mann. Oh yeah, I got this job. 2 days later, back in Fort Worth, I got the phone call from JW. He says, hey, I'm sorry, we're going with the other coach. I was just crushed, heartbroken. I had to go tell my wife we wanted to move to Flagstaff now, that we're not moving to Flagstaff. Luckily, I kept it together. I told JW, no, I appreciate that. I'm learning from you. You're my mentor. What do I got to work on? And he told me a few things. And 2 days later, he said, hey, are we still good? Well, yeah, we're still good. What's going on? The other guy's wife didn't want to move to Flagstaff. You still want the job? Of course I want the job. So we moved out to Flagstaff and enjoyed our 10 years here. And so I've stood in your seat, I've sat in your seat, and I've heard many of these coaches talk about how, as Hall of Fame inductees, they wish they would have spent more time with family. I didn't want to do that. She had an opportunity to go basically work for NASA. How can you turn that down, right? So we did that. And so Casey has done this a lot more than I. Casey's a middle school science teacher, has been National Teacher of the Year, State Teacher of the Year, many times over. So I asked her, what do I talk about tonight? So she gave me a few tips, and she didn't tell me to cry in front of you guys, but here it is. But again, coaches, coaching is a very rewarding career. There's also a lot of time demand, a lot of stress that you go through. Casey, for everything that she put into teaching, helped raise, really did a lot of the brunt of raising Chase, who's sitting out here, my 14-year-old son. So speaking of Chase, the son of a Division I cross-country coach of the year, he told us this year, he's like, I am not running cross-country. I will do anything to not run cross-country. I said, okay, what do you want to do? He wants to play football. So hats off to Chase Hines. He's the backup quarterback to his football team. He's got 1 for 2. He's got 7 yards rushing. We're extremely proud of what Chase has done and gone through all of his changes with us with a positive attitude. So I know I'm probably running out of my 5 minutes here, but I do want to leave you with this. I look back at my time at NAU, and it truly is a special place. Because when I think of NAU athletics, I think of family. There's no other place in the entire country that supports and is a family like NAU athletics. And I look out here and I've talked to some of the other coaches that are here. You know, they've come up to me and they said, I wouldn't have missed this for you, coach. I wouldn't have missed this for anybody. You know, it is a family. You don't get this. I've been to other universities. I'm now at another university. Somebody asked me tonight John asked me tonight if I knew the rowing coach at Louisville. No, I haven't met the rowing coach at Louisville because we're so siloed. This is such an amazing place to be. So I hope that you appreciate that. Those of you who are still working here, don't lose it, Mike. It's still such a big family. Thank you. Congratulations to the rest of the inductees. Have a great night.
Casey, thank you for hanging in there. Chase, we'll talk about some football stuff right after this. We got this. It's good. Well, in our cross-country track and field theme, we're going to keep that going tonight with our next inductee. The next inductee is Diego Estrada, cross-country track and field 2013. Diego finished his career with 10 All-American honors, the most by an NAU men's cross-country and track and field student athlete ever. He claimed 11 individual Big Sky championships, with 7 coming on the indoor track. Estrada became just the 4th men's indoor triple champion in Big Sky Conference history, earning the most valuable athlete award at the 2012 Indoor Track and Field Championships in Flagstaff after sweeping the mile, 3K, and 5K titles. Impressive, amazing. Estrada won the 3K title at all 4 Big Sky Indoor Championships he competed in addition to winning the mile title in 2013. At Big Sky Outdoor Track and Field Championships, Estrada won the 5K title in 2011 and was a double champion in the 1500 meter and 5K in 2013. His best cross-country season was his last, claiming the Big Sky individual crown and placing 7th at the NCAA championships in 2011. His record 10th All-American honor came in his final race in a lumberjack uniform, placing 3rd in the 5K at the 2013 NCAA Outdoor Track and Field Championships. Estrada, who placed 21st in the 10K for Mexico at the 2012 Summer Olympics in London, while still attending NAU, left as the conference record holder in the indoor 3K, indoor 5K, and outdoor 5K, with the latter also ranking as the 2nd best time in NCAA history. He also held the school record in the indoor mile, 3 minutes and 55 seconds. So please join me in welcoming Diego Estrada to the NAU Athletics Hall of Fame.
Well, thanks for coming on, everyone. And I just didn't know how to speak because I figured that I just like freeballed and, you know, like they told me I was going to be inducted and it just hasn't quite hit until I heard Coach Hines speaking and he teared up. And I'm a pretty stoic guy, but, you know, like I came here to NAU as no expectations, just an open mind. Wasn't really recruited, nobody really paid attention, but that man right there gave me a chance. And we bumped heads here and there, and that's what made us family. He was like a father for me. And, you know, like, hearing him speak and how much it meant to him, that it really hit home. So my career basically was summed up. It was 2013, maybe Jordan 5000. We're gonna fly out there, and my back was hurting, my hip, I was limping. He said, let's go see a chiropractor. We went on Friday. We drove down to Phoenix on Saturday. We got to Stanford, and I raced on Sunday. And I set the school record. And I remember we're going out in the morning, and you know, like I've always been the kind of guy that I do care, but I don't really show emotion. And he goes to me like, man, did you ever imagine that at this moment we could go in for an easy run and you could hold so many school records? That you would accomplish so many things? And I just got stuck with me. Like that memory, I always remember it. Like I think the catalyst was just the fact that that man right there saw something in me that many people didn't see. And I tell people, like, I think that if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be where I am today. So this is very special to me to be sharing this night with him. And you know, it's like, it's just fake, you know, like he was the second backup to get the job. The other guys didn't want to move here. I didn't even want to go to college. I'm an immigrant. I came to this country when I was born in college, but never in my sight. So it's just, you know, NAU's given so much, and what I'm trying to say is, I live across the street from Cardinal Fields, and even when they offered me the opportunity to be inducted, I said, yes, I'm coming out, because, you know, life takes ups and downs, and just hearing, like, all the accolades and everything, like, I want to thank everyone here for being here, because you guys are all reminding me of how much I've achieved, and it kind of just lights that feeling me to make a comeback. Because, you know, I made an Olympic team, I left college, and the sky was the limit, and I believe I'd be standing in the Olympic podium, and life didn't give me that. So I retired last year, and, you know, just, like, kind of got bullied into giving another go by my girlfriend and my parents, and, you know, it got to the point where I loved running so much that it became a hate relationship where all these expectations just got to me, and just being a part of this is like, it's weird, like, it's just kind of reignited that flame, because NAU, like, was the highlight, how much people supported me. So my first name is Juan. So the funny thing is I would go to class, I went to the Olympics in 2012, I came back and nobody knew I was Olympian, because my name is Juan. And eventually my professors found out, I was like, dude, like, you're an Olympian? I was like, but what I'm saying is, like, that was the culture. Like, we got to work. My teammates that are here, like, we worked. Nobody bragged about it. Nobody felt like, nobody acted as you were better than anybody. And I think it all goes back again, not to just keep going in circles. It's the culture that that man set for us, and he's been a huge role model. And, you know, he's already been up here, but I like him to come up again and stand with his award next to me, because I want a picture of everyone here. And that's all I got, because I'm not going to cry.
Amazing to see somebody that loves running so much. Incredible. An Olympian. How many Olympians have you interacted with? Amazing. I'm about to set myself up for a mid-strong joke. I'm going to put my glasses on. Get me later. We're going to keep the theme going with cross-country, track and field, because our next inductee is Christy Klinner. Give her a round of applause. 1989. Christy made her mark on the early years of NAU women's distance program, winning 12 individual Big Sky championships and earning 3 All-American honors. The 1991 calendar year was a banner one for her, which she started by sweeping the 3K and 5K individual indoor conference titles for the second consecutive year. Christy proceeded by winning both the 5K and 10K titles at the Big Sky Outdoor Track and Field Championships, again for the second consecutive year, before capping 1991 with a 26th place finish at the NCAA Cross Country Championships. finishing as the Lumberjacks' second runner and earning All-American honors. Christy helped lead NAU to a third-place team finish, which still ranks as the program's best finish and only podium spot. Christy is the only women's runner in Big Sky Conference history to win 4 outdoor 10K championships and was the first women's runner to be a double champion in both the indoor 3K and 5K. Christy's 2 other career All-American honors came in the 10K in 1991 and 1993, while still at NAU. Christy, the Lumberjacks' all-time record holder in the 10K, qualified for the U.S. Olympic trials in 1992. In the event after graduating, Christy turned her attention to the marathon and earned the bronze medal at the 1995 World University Games in Japan. So please join me in welcoming Christy Clinner to the NAU Athletics Hall of Fame. Unfortunately, Chris is not able to join us tonight, so we will represent her and speak a little bit will be Ron May.
I've got to move this way down. If you see the picture of Christy, you can't really see all of what Christy is, but she is a very tall individual. She's probably 5 foot, maybe, and she probably is 97 pounds. And in October of last year, I had the opportunity to go up and visit with Christy in her home of Alaska, in Anchorage, where she is a teacher there, and she is doing great work there with her family. And Christy was truly a pioneer as it started the women's cross country and track and field program here. She was one of the spark plugs, if you will. And those of you that might have had an opportunity, I know Ms. did, and many of the rest of you, she always has that great smile that you see right there, and she has always had that. So, there's a couple of things that I would like to talk about Christy. First of all, I want to talk about those 12 Big Sky Conference championships that she won. When you add that up, she scored 120 points in Big Sky Conference championship. There are schools in this conference that haven't scored that many points in the Big Sky Conference. They just haven't. Christy was a grinder, and she was not. She would, if she were here tonight, she said, I'm not overly talented, I'm just a grinder. Now, in the state of Alaska, running is a really big thing. She won 4 straight cross-country titles in Alaska before coming to Northern Arizona. So, I'd like to take just a moment to tell you how Christy got to Northern Arizona University. And this is my first story I have too. So, my assistant coach, and I have to correct this, my assistant coach at the time was Warren Mandrell, not Bryce Allen. That was a mistake on my part. Warren Mandrell and I were going out to lunch one day, and we saw this jogger running down the street. And both of us looked and we said, that's no ordinary jogger, that's somebody special. So we pulled over to the side of the road and stopped her and said, young lady, tell us a little about who you are. And she said, well, I ran at the University of Minnesota last year, and my dad is now at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University for his degree in flight. And so I came to Northern Arizona because Embry-Riddle was very expensive. So she came up here. So Christy had no intentions of running on the team. And so we said, Christy, would you just try out for the team and come? Because she was very shy about the idea at all. And so she came out and ran with the team a little bit. And she liked it. And they loved her. And so Christy joined the team. 4-time state championships in Alaska. Went to Minnesota. Came to Northern Arizona to run it off. So we had a stellar recruiting year that year, and we had several great runners. You add Christy Clinton to the mix, and now we think we've got a podium team. And podium we did. Christy helped that team, not only physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and it was just a God thing, the way that team went together. It was. And those ladies became the closest of friends and are still to this day. So my great recruiting ability, you got it. So coaches and athletes, just keep your eyes open for things that you don't expect. And you never know what blessing you're going to get. Just keeping your eyes open, okay? So Christy came onto a team and helped the team go on to be the best Big Sky Conference women's team in the history, which still stands 30 years later. Wait a minute. Until 2022, when Mike Smith gets another podium for the women's side too. Let's hear a sound for that. Now that's a Hall of Fame performance. So, I have a second story. Mike Nesbitt, you're going to love this one. So, and with this all close, we're in Bozeman, Montana. It's a cold, windy, ugly day in Bozeman, Montana. And any of you that have been in Bozeman, Montana know that there are cold, ugly days. We have probably 50-mile-an-hour winds. How big did I tell you Christy is? 97 pounds. So we're in the 10,000 meters. And I'm watching the race and paying attention to some of the other athletes at the same time. And Nesbitt comes up to me and he said, one of your athletes just got blown off the track. And he said, no, coach, she physically got blown off the track. She's laying in the infield. So Christy got back up. She was out of the lead group. She gradually moved her way up, moved her way up, moved her way up, moved her way up. And with about a lap to go, and those of you in the back, you got to look at this, she comes by me with a lap to go. And she comes by and she goes, like this, like that. And I'm going, what the heck is that? So she finished the race, she wins the race. And she wins, gets her award, and so I go over to Christy and I said, Christy, what was this? She says, Coach, I was opening my can of whoop-ass. True story, right guys? So, Christy can't be here tonight. She can't be here tonight. She's home in Alaska with her husband. And they're going to try and open a can of whoop-ass to beat his cancer. So, Christy is where she needs to be. It's about family. It's about open the can of whoop-ass, and we're going to beat cancer, and Christy Clinton is going to lead the charge. She would love to be here, and she is really grateful for this award. Thank you so much.
Man, it's amazing what you've done. Just a little side note. 58 Big Sky Championships. I know you're already Hall of Famer, I'm inducting you tonight, but your tree of coaching, the impact of coaching, and the people you've impacted, it's really amazing to see. So thank you for the investment in so many other people. Well, let's keep moving on. And although we don't have any more cross country and track and field But our next inductee tonight is Charlie Brown. He's a football player from 1968 to 1969. We give him a round of applause. Charlie's career in Flagstaff was short but impactful, eventually landing in the NFL with the Detroit Lions after starting his college career at Merritt Junior College. Brown arrived at NAU in 1968. His final season was the best by a lumberjack receiver without a doubt at the time, as Brown set a new single-season school records for receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns. His records would hold for decades, as his touchdowns record stood until 1990, and his yards record, which had nearly doubled the previous mark, was broken in 2003. Brown still ranks 5th in receiving yards and is tied for 4th in receiving touchdowns and NAU's single-season leader. In terms of single-game records, Brown also broke a number of those as well, including receptions, receiving yards, and touchdowns. His 245 yards against Whitworth remains a school record. And in fact, when his career was over, Brown held the top 3 single-game receiving yards totals, including 192 against Weber State and 189 versus Montana State. His historic season earned him a spot on the NAIA All-America team by the Associated Press and launched him into the NFL after being selected by the Detroit Lions in the 14th round of the 1970 draft. As a rookie, Brown played in 14 games for the Lions. And I had the privilege of sitting tonight at the table with Walt, who was, he'll let you know he was a receiver before Charlie was a receiver here at NAU. And I think the thing that stood out to me was Walt said, Charlie was one of the best people we'd ever met. He was just one of the greatest guys to be around. So, please join me in welcoming Charlie Brown to the NAU Athletics Hall of Fame. Charlie is unfortunately unable to join us this evening, but his son, Kristen Brown, is here tonight to represent his dad on his behalf. So please join me in welcoming Kristen to the stage.
I can't say much more about my dad's NAU career than Mr. Brown has already stated, right? It's definitely been a long time coming. My dad, he was here in 68 and 69. He had an extensive career that I never personally got a chance to experience. But there were a lot of way back jacks in the building that had the opportunity. I've been short of holding back tears the whole day, just hearing the stories that people have been telling me about my father. And it just reinforces the kind of person that I grew up with. And even though my dad is not here physically, he's still here in spirit. He's not passed away, he's just not here. But the type of person that my dad has always been is somebody he led by action. He wasn't the type of person that would tell you to do something and then go do something else. And to me, that was he exemplified everything that he told his children to do. I'm the middle child. I have an older brother who was Charles Brown Jr. and a younger sister who was China Brown. And they both had really good athletic careers as well. They did everything that they could to try to push that bar. But when you have 245 receiving yards in one game, those are shoes that you're not going to be able to fulfill, right? So
You know, it's with deep appreciation that, you know, our father is able to be acknowledged for his contributions to this institution. And, you know, for me personally, it's a constant reminder that I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. You know, because a lot of the things that my dad did here was instilled in him by his parents. And his life has without adversity. But he's always met his adversity with humility and strength. And for a son to be able to see his father meet his adversity with strength no matter what. You know, my dad has Parkinson's now. And a lot of that could have been, you know, a part of him playing football. So for me, it's a double-edged sword. You know, I like to accept the great achievements, but then also seeing the consequences. You know, I was helping my dad with physical therapy the other day, and he said, I would have never believed that my life would have turned out like this. But being able to take home something, that represents his achievement, it puts things into perspective. My father sacrificed. He sacrificed a lot of people. He had a short time here at NAU. He had a lifetime in this community. A lifetime. I had the father who was the community dad. You needed your bike fixed. You needed a couple of dollars in your pocket. You needed help purchasing a car. You needed a place to stay. He made sure he was available. He made sure whatever resources that he had was available to the family and community. So I never had a chance to see my dad play football. But I got to see what type of father he was, what type of father he is. My dad, he lived his whole life with sickle cell. It's something we never talked about. But then when you hear about sickle cell, you just hear about the limitations of living with it. He never let those get in the way of what he did physically, spiritually, mentally. My dad, he went back to school and he got his master's in education. And he worked as an educator in our community for 33 years. He raised up generations of critical thinkers. He did his best to uplift the humanity in others. So, I appreciate him being able to come through this institution, be able to receive this award, to be able to have, his contributions looked at in a positive light, but then also knowing that, my personal responsibility now is to move forward his legacy, and to do the things that he's no longer able to do. And we recently started, for the last 9 years, my dad has been very influential in us being able to establish a social equity business that's revolving around offering educational and nutrition programs to the sickle cell community in California, and being able to grow specific agricultural foods for the sickle cell community to reduce pharmaceutical abuse within the sickle cell community, and also to reduce invasive procedures that are not necessarily needed, but to be able to educate our community and educate the sickle cell community and with nutrition and wellness, and being understand the food is the medicine. So this is a very important aspect of my father's legacy, to be able to offer our community's most vulnerable members an opportunity and a chance to understand what health and wellness can be like. And so that's what I want my father to also be remembered for. NAU, it was a transformative time for him in his life, and a lot of the things that he did when he left NAU, he may not have been able to do it without being able to build up his confidence here at NAU, to be able to see himself on a major platform, and to be able to see himself be challenged, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally as well. I mean, he played in the 60s, early 70s. We know what life was like, just by opening the book and reading, what life was like for our community at that time, just trying to come into institutions, get an education, and excel. So, my dad's life has not been without adversity. He would have loved to be here, but where he is physically right now is just not, it's just too much excitement. It was just a little bit too much for him. But he's going to love being able to have this, as something that, he put a lot on the line. I think my dad played one game with a broken collarbone. He continued to play, and that was his dedication to not just the university, but his own personal performance. To know that, life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you, And like I was saying a little earlier, I was taking my dad to physical therapy, he said, man, I would have never believed that my life would have turned out like this, And I said, I would have never believed your life would have turned out like this either. But still, even in the adversity that he's been faced with today, as somebody who is, has Parkinson's, he still exemplifies so much strength, so much character with, how he's approaching the cards that he was dealt, right? So, I definitely appreciate this award. I know he's going to appreciate it. Our family appreciates it, and go Lumberjacks.
Chris, thanks for your words, man. You said you never saw your dad play football, but you saw him be a dad, and just listening to you talk, sounds like he was a way better dad than you even was a football player, so thank you. Anybody else emotional? With you. Let's move on. We're going to move to our last inductee of the night, but it's not an inductee. What's a plural term for inductees? Inductees. Okay. The 2015 volleyball team. 2015 Lumberjack volleyball team was an unstoppable force on their way to snapping NAU's 6 16-year NCAA tournament drought during a 28-5 record, including a 15-1 Big Sky record. The 28 victories set a new school record and included a school record 17-match winning streak to the Big Sky tournament and into the Big Dance. Entering the NCAA tournament, NAU held the 8th longest winning streak in the country after winning its final 14 regular season matches and sweeping Southern Utah, Sacramento State, and Idaho State in the conference tournament to punch the program's first NCAA tournament ticket since 1999. NAU swept the championship match on its home floor in the Roll Activity Center in front of a school record 1,423 fans. And one of those fans, I think, is one of our current student athletes on the volleyball team as well. She was a younger sister of one of the players. But in addition to the school record and win total, the winning streak, NAU completed a perfect season at home at 14-0, which also set a school record. Led by head coach Ken Murphy, NAU finished the season ranked number 33 in the NCAA RPI. Buoyed by a win over eventual Sweet 16 participant Loyola Marymount, which was not only the highest RPI ranking in program history, but also the highest among the state's 4 Division I schools that season. The roster was headlined by a quartet of all-conference performers, including Janae Vonderploeg, NAU's first ABCA All-American Big Sky Most Valuable Player, Peyton Bach, NAU's all-time leader in blocks, and Jensen Barton, the second all-time in assists. All 3 were voted to the All-Big Sky first team, while Lauren Jacobson was voted to the second team. The team roster included Jordan Anderson, Jensen Barton, Peyton Bach, Hannah Cherry, Ricky Dorsey, Victoria Uwalefo, Emma Grimswood, Kayla Guerrero, Lauren Jacobson, Kaylee Jorgensen, Jordan Leiter, Addie Lofstedt, Ohia Shirley, Janae Vonderploeg, Stacia Williams. The staff was Ken Murphy, who was the head coach, Anna Lofgren was assistant coach, Catherine Chavez was assistant coach, and Aaron Bennett was an assistant coach. Coach Murphy is currently on the road with our volleyball team to compete against Weber State, but we are fortunate enough to have tonight the following players: Jordan Anderson, Jensen Barton, Peyton Bach, Brittany Dorsey, Lauren Jacobson, and Stacia Williams England. So please join me in welcoming the 2015 NAU Women's Volleyball Team.
All right, wow. What an honor to be here tonight and just be here. So many great NAU family and just to see everyone for so long. I just praise God for the blessing of being a part of this 2015 team and being a part of the legacy that Ken has and continues to create for NAU volleyball. Not very public speaking. We all really wish that Ken could be here tonight because he was such a huge part of our team and a huge reason why we won and did so well. One of the things that he just told us every single match was to go one play at a time. Not worry about the next play or the one after that, but just the current one that we're in. And that wisdom really carried us through throughout the season. One of my favorite memories of that season was the night that we won the conference tournament. And when we were in the locker room for our post-match meeting, and I just remember Ken coming in, being just the biggest humanitarian here, and just telling us how proud he was of us. And I think if you were here tonight, he would be telling you guys the same thing, just how proud he was of our team and the fight yeah, and so, I just want to thank all our family, our friends, and our fans just for the continued love and support for our program then and now and in the future.
Sorry, I'm a little tall. My name is Kate Park. I'm not going to publicly cheat sheet right here. I was a senior middle blocker for the 2015 Northern Arizona University volleyball team, and it is honestly such an honor to stand here among my fellow inductees. It's honestly so surreal. I'm blessed to have played with these girls who have made an amazing team and a record-breaking season, and it means the world to me to be entering this Hall of Fame. The night that we won the championship is still to this day one of the best nights of my entire life. I started playing volleyball when I was 16 years old, and in the volleyball world that's very unheard of. All of the girls started probably playing when they were like 10 or 12 years old. So I was a severely late bloomer, and I honestly still don't know what rotations are. I got really good at hitting and blocking, but thank you, Jensen, for always putting me in the right spot every time. I like your rotations, yeah, that's that. My coach in high school actually saw me in the hallway of our school, and I was standing at 6'3", 130 pounds. She didn't really give me a choice in playing volleyball. She demanded that I play volleyball, and so that was the start of my music career. I remember during our 2015 season, we only lost one game, and it was at Sac State, and I unfortunately remember it very vividly. We went straight to the locker room, and we were very upset after the loss. But I remember saying, as I said, girls, like, we need to remember how this feels, because I do not want to feel like this again. I highly doubt that we want to feel like this again. And I can proudly say that we never felt that feeling of loss for the rest of our entire season. I want to say thank you to everyone who supported our team, from the fans to the boosters to our athletic trainers, our coach Ken Murphy, and especially one person super close to me specifically. I remember the night that we won the championship, and all the girls ran to each other, as I did. But as the second that we broke free, I went straight to my dad. My dad was the biggest supporter in my life and all of the other girls' life. He was the biggest supporter. I mean, he literally had our championship picture blown up on like a 20 by 20 canvas and put it in his office at work and in his office at home. He recently passed away from leukemia 11 months ago, and he would have loved to be here today. So I want to say a special thank you to him, because without him, I wouldn't have been the player I was or the woman I am today. So thank you.
Thank you. Man, what a class. Can we give a round of applause for the class of 2022? Got feeling such a theme tonight from everybody, and I know everybody who has been a part of NAU athletics, so many of you feel the same way, but family, you talk about family, and it is a family. Such an honor to be a part of this family. And the 2022 NAU Athletic Hall of Fame inductees will be recognized tomorrow at the football game against Idaho. Kickoff is at 1 p.m. and we hope everyone who's here tonight will be able to attend tomorrow's game. Thank you all for coming to the 2022 NAU Athletic Hall of Fame dinner presented by Twin Arrows Casino Resort. We really appreciate you, your support of our new inductees. And to close our night, I was going to give a Go Jacks, but I think it's probably appropriate for everybody to give a Go Jacks on three. Does that sound good? All right, 1, 2, 3, go!